Okay. Hey, looks like it's actually working. That's awesome. Today's going to be a little slower pace than normal. And I hope you're okay with that because I am solo, no producer on hand to help me out with the whole cut and paste of questions from TikTok over to the main channel. So that means you're going to have to give me a little bit of help. Let's just go slow. Be kind. Or don't be kind. It's up to you. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet where you get to ask a traffic police officer questions about stuff and things, namely questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and general police stuff like employment opportunities. You know what? We are hiring people, and we can talk all about that. I made a list on my notepad, on my iPad. We're going to start off by trying to follow this list and see what happens. Hey, Neha, how's it going? We got people dropping into the chat on TikTok. Welcome. We got Dustin and Gene, who's coming in by YouTube and Twitch. Dustin on Twitch and Gene on YouTube. So how do you connect to the show? How do you ask a question? Fantastic. Let's start with that. You can connect by joining us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I am reading that right off the screen if you were wondering. The way to ask questions is everything but Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, I can't help you. It doesn't work. Ever since they switched to from Periscope to LinkedIn or to Twitter Live, it doesn't work. So pop in on one of our other platforms if you want to ask questions. Preferably use YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, or Facebook. That's the easiest one for me, especially today. But you can. I will be paying attention to the chat. Although, again, if you're on TikTok and want to get the questions answered and interact a little more natively, a little more smoothly, then jump over to YouTube or one of the other platforms. Not that I don't want you to be on TikTok. I love TikTok. Okay. We've covered that. Trafficcop.ca or the link on the screen. Scan that. It'll take you to my link tree. That's where you can get all the information for all the platforms. Okay. What do we got here? We're talking motorcycle season. We're going to start with Vision Zero enforcement team. That's what we're going to do. Good thing I made a list. I can make a check mark there and a check mark there. Okay, cool. I'm having too much fun. I entertain myself. This is how I've survived this long. And did it post? Did it actually work? Come on. I scheduled. Did it work? Let me see here. Is my Vision Zero? Oh, yeah, it did work. It's the one before. So being that it's April 12th, Vision Zero enforcement team is out in full effect. It's 25 degrees outside, and they are out there making a difference one ticket at a time. They are there to correct driver behavior. Well, it's driver and rider behavior because now it's motorcycle season, which we're going to talk a lot about today. And, well, they're there to issue tickets for offenses, specifically offenses that come under the heading of the Big Four. Yes, I get my timing better for that button. The Big Four deal with speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. And what does that really mean? Well, first of all, aggressive driving is sort of a blanket. It covers a whole bunch of things: red light runners, stop sign ignorers. I don't know what do we call someone who runs a stop sign, someone who doesn't pay. If you're not paying attention and it's aggressive and could lead to serious injury or death, it's aggressive. Speeding, obviously, we know that speeding kills, even though people will not tell me that it's not speed that kills, it's the sudden stop. And yeah, I've heard the joke. But speed changes the dynamics of a collision, and it increases your odds of becoming involved in one. So that's a thing. Distracted driving, obviously, that's using your cell phone, but distraction could be more than just holding it or using a cell phone. It could be daydreaming. There's no ticket for daydreaming. Well, I guess careless driving, but that's another story. And then impaired driving, that's something we're all about charging people for. And where are these fine officers focusing their efforts today? They are specifically in the divisions of 31 Division and 41 Division. Those are the divisions of the division. That may mean nothing to you if you're not familiar with our unit breakdown or a divisional breakdown. So let me tell you. Black Creek, Humbermead, Glenfield, Downsview, Woburn, Highland Creek, West Hill, Guildwood. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. If it was your neighborhood, you'd want us there too. And we often get requests. Hey, could you spend some time in this neighborhood? We're having problems with people. And you can make a report on our website. tps.ca is the main website. There's a link to the page to make reports by going to the fuzzy code on the screen or going to trafficcop.ca. There's a whole bunch of useful stuff, and I'll actually put it on screen and walk you through some of the links that are useful a little later in the show. One of those links is going to take you to careers because you know what? We're hiring. We're always hiring. We're looking for good people who want to put on a uniform and serve their community with pride. And we do that every day here. I love what I do. I've been with the service for 23 years. I've had various roles. I've been an auxiliary officer, which is a volunteer. I've been a court officer, which was a special constable role. Now the court officer is sort of gone. It's now special constable with court officer specialty is, I suppose. And then I became a police officer. I've enjoyed every minute of every day. I didn't really like being in a collision. That sucked. But, pretty much everything else. So if you got questions about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, please feel free to ask. All right. Let me see what we're catching up on here. Chase, hey, good morning. He wants to know, what is this one? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the left turn stunt drive video is the most viewed one since the Tim Hortons Donuts video. The Tim Hortons Donuts video, it was a live stream with 40,000 people in it. That was the biggest live stream we've ever had. In terms of the number of views on a video, I don't know. There's a tint video that has almost 7 million views, so definitely there's one that has more, but that's been up for a couple of years. Let me see here. Let's see what our view count looks like. Where can I do that? Hang on a second. Well, 387,000 is the left turn one, so it's getting there. And we have one coming up. It is, what is it? It is 243,000, almost 244,000, and it's dealing with motorcycle helmets. So you know what? It changes all the time. But 6.7 or 7 something million for the one about tint. And it's a stitch. So if you look at the stitched playlist on our account, you'll find that video, and it's short, but it's effective. And we had a tremendous growth on our account when that video played. So just like the one today, we've actually popped up a whole bunch of new followers. So if you're watching us and not following us, please follow us on whatever platform you're on. And if you're on one platform, feel free to go onto other platforms and follow us there too, because although it's the live stream goes out on all of them, they're really different. I post stuff on Instagram that I don't post on Twitter. Twitter lately, especially on my voiceover cop channel, has become very conversational. I'm the most active I've ever been on Twitter, just having conversations with people and trying to be more like I am on TikTok. So, trying new things. And it's a totally different audience. A lot of angrier. People on Twitter are much angrier. Not all of them, but many of them. Mind you, with the last video, and we can talk about that now for a second, is the video that... can I play it for you? How do I do this? No. It is the video about the motorcycle helmet, and it's specifically the fuzzy Pokemon helmet cover. So I posted a response. Basically, the video that I stitched had a motorcycle rider who was pulled over for wearing a yellow Pokemon Pikachu, I think it is, cover on their helmet, and the officer starts explaining that it's cool, but it's not legal. And I broke it down a little bit further. I didn't go into tremendous detail because it's a short video, but man, did people get upset. Now, the vast majority of people didn't get upset. They just liked it and moved on. But there are some very, very angry Americans, in particular Americans, who think that it's, somehow interfering with their personal freedom to not be able to express themselves with a Pokemon or Cookie Monster cover on their helmet. They're not safe. They're not safe and they're not legal. And that's pretty much where it stands. But I got into some interesting conversations there. And my goodness, there's people who have been having their own conversations in the text. How many comments were there? This is really what I think is interesting. When they started breaking it down, the video posted yesterday at 10 a.m. Just before we went live, I hit go. It's currently got 244,000 views, 29,000 likes, 2,258 comments, 591 shares, and 1,958 favorites. I don't know how many people joined or followed us as a result of it, but a lot, more than a few. We went from, I think, under 605,000 to now 608,000, 608,500. So it's a lot. Okay. That's about it on the helmets. Well, if you got questions about helmets, we'll come back to it. Just to acknowledge a few more people. Big Jeff Fresh with a good day. Michael with a good morning. Good morning to you. Let's see here. Oh, this browser lets me chat on YouTube. Will you answer some Discord questions during the live? You know what? I forgot to even open up Discord. I am not organized enough yet to have replaced in my mind the Discord. But let me log into Discord while we're here so I can have yet another window to look at. Life is far easier with the assistance of JD, who is not in the office today because he's off being super important elsewhere. So let me open up. I am logging into Discord. And going into the traffic services space. If you'd like to join our Discord community, that is sort of ramping up again because we're transitioning from the magic of Volley, which is no more at the end of the month. Very sad to say. Let's see here. Questions. What do we have here? Oh, we got Chase who says, "Hi, Sean." I see that. That's a new message. 18 new messages. Okay. I will have a look at some of these questions and we'll see if we can zip in and out of regular stuff. So we got Dylan Narbonne. Is it Narbonne? You've lost your desk. Hey, you want to hang out on the show because your desk is currently being used? Aaron just walked into the studio. Do I need, what is this? Do I need to use a side-by-side seatbelt? Do I need to use a side-by-side? I don't know what your question is. Do you mean on a side-by-side off-road vehicle? Do you need to wear a seatbelt? I actually don't know because I'm not an off-road person. But seatbelts are good. I don't know what the answer is. I don't even know if they have seatbelts on side-by-sides. That's how much I know about off-road vehicles. Sorry, as I get positioned here. Q wants to know what's the expiration date on an ownership? It's the time that the validation expires. So like a license plate, it expires, you have to renew it. So the license plate actually represents your ownership. And it's the same thing. It doesn't expire, like you don't stop owning it. However, it is a thing that must be renewed online now for free on most vehicles. Some vehicles you still have to pay. Big trucks mostly. And apparently you have to have a plate on a snowmobile, which really bothers Sergeant Campbell a lot. Hey, if you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law every single day, even if I'm not online. I actually annoy everybody at home talking about traffic. My kids were walking across the street, I picked them up from school, walking across the street, and I saw, I believe it was a Lexus with a really crappy tint job. If you may know who you are, if you maybe because I was staring at you, pointing and telling my children about your tint strip across the front. It was bubbling and peeling. So if you have a Lexus with a bubbling, peeling tint strip, that sun strip at the top, illegal. Your vehicle's too new. But my kids know what the laws are, and they are young. They are under 10, and they know what the HTA says because we talk about it all the time. So when I say we're talking about it every single day, I really mean it. Okay. I'm going to flag a joke from David Stark. We'll talk about it in a little while. So dad jokes is part of what we do every day. At least we try to, unless I totally forget. But we'll get back to it. Okay, we're going. I have a question. Ahmed says, what is this? Okay. Ahmed says, I have a bone to pick with you, sir. You have a problem with people flashing their high beams and you don't like warning signs for speed camera. Okay, let's follow up. But why do you think it's okay to tell people where VZ is? Why not just tell them where they were yesterday? If someone just avoids the area and kills a pedestrian, isn't that worse than being surprised? I think you make a very good point. It is not something that I decided to do. I was directed to do. So we tell people where Vision Zero is, and it's just part of what we do. You make a very good point. So bone picked, I get it. I hear what you're saying. Why would we tell people? Because I don't think we should tell people where speed cameras are. I don't think you should be notifying other people because the goal is to catch you doing what you're doing. But the truth is, I don't think the people who are speeding are paying attention. I think the people who are watching our channel are not looking at it as a warning to not speed in that particular area. I think the people that are watching our channel are people who are safety-focused, traffic-minded friends of the channel who like to know that people are working in their neighborhood. I think in this particular situation, it's got a different effect. And I'm working through this live as I, let the trickle down happen. But I totally don't like warning people about speed enforcement because I want them to get caught. I want them to get caught so they get the tickets, so they change their driving behavior, because just getting warned and avoiding it for a day, well, it doesn't have the same effect, does it? Hey, if you're watching on TikTok, please hit that screen and tap it with showing some likes. Do it until your fingers go numb or they start to hurt. That's usually a good cutoff time. It helps the algorithm know that we have something worthy of sharing. Now I'm going to scroll over, speaking of TikTok, and have a look at the chat because I've been ignoring it, and there's nobody else reading it if I'm not reading it today. So we have Christian says, good morning. Dylan, do I have to? No, we talked about that. Thank you, Dylan, for taking your question and moving it over to the other. And again, to anybody else who's on TikTok, yeah, today's a day where I need some help. If you come over to YouTube, it's easier to ask questions. Okay. What is this? Officer, I have 20 kilos of drugs. How do I hide it from police? Please help. Bruh, you're asking the wrong guy. But if you just send me your address, I can have some officers attend and help you out. Let's see here. Niha is, would volunteering with Crime Stoppers help with my career in policing in the future? Volunteering in general is the way to go. If you're volunteering and contributing to your community, doing the thing, because policing is not volunteering because we're getting paid, but we're giving a lot of ourselves. We're actually contributing much more than I think we're being paid for. You know, we're always on duty. We're always putting ourselves out there, and we're committing ourselves to a life of service. It means you're giving up personal days with your family. It means you're missing birthdays and parties because you are committed to serving the community. It's not just about getting paid. So is volunteering and doing something that you're passionate about while working towards your goal of becoming a police officer the right thing to do? I absolutely think it is. So I think Crime Stoppers is a great way to contribute and help. I don't know where to put this window. Hang on a second. I got to resize this window because it's bothering me. Hang on a second. We'll shrink that here. I'm going to do a split screen. I don't want to look all the way over here to read if I can avoid it. Let's shrink this. Yes, this is I should have another camera behind me showing you the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes. I can do that, actually. We can make that happen. I don't need to look at myself full screen. Okay. Split screen. All right. Boom, boom, boom. One ticket at a time. Yes. Well, no. If someone has 10 offenses, I'll write them 10 tickets. Good morning. Emma, what is the tinting regulation on your car? Fantastic question. So tint works like this in Ontario, and every jurisdiction you're in is going to have a slightly different rule. In Ontario, to get certified, you have to have no more than 30% light blockage on the windows directly left and right of the driver. In terms of the windshield, and a vehicle that is 2017 or newer, you can have absolutely no tint on the windshield. And if it's older, so it's 2016 or older, you can have a 3-inch tint strip across the top of the windshield down to the PS1 line or 75 millimeters, whatever happens first. Now, that's for certification. Oh, I should say that the windows behind in the rear passenger and the if you're in an SUV, the the storage compartment, the cargo area, and the rear window can be as dark as you want. You must, because some people get into trouble for rear windows that are blacked out. You have to have a clear view to the rear. So if your rear window is so dark that it's not light doesn't get through, you have to have side mirrors that do allow it. And people will, well, how's that legal? Well, it's legal because think about a panel truck, a truck that has no window, it has a cargo compartment behind. If the windows are left and if you have 2 mirrors, you're good. You're good. You have a clear view. Now, I told you the 30% light blockage is for certification. And if you have more than 30% light blockage, you are an unsafe vehicle, unsafe for the road. You can have your license plates pulled, seized, returned to the ministry, requiring you to get another safety, because mechanics actually have to do a tint check. They actually have to test the light transmission through the window. They have tint checkers. I have a video on that on the FAQ if you're interested in seeing what that kind of tint meter looks like. Now, when you get pulled over by police, you could be pulled over because we can't see you. And atmospheric conditions mean that if it's dark outside and we can't see you, even though you have legal tint, you can still get a ticket for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle with color or reflective tint. So reflective tint is prohibited, at least on the windows left and right of the driver. And I think I've covered everything, but if you have more questions, let me know. Okie dokie. What do we got here? Have you tried VR traffic collision simulator net yet? No, I haven't. I've seen some videos. So I'm going to actually, can I copy this off the page? I can go back and get it later. I want to check that out. Thank you, David. And still going to circle back and I'll tag that so I can find it easily. All right. Big Jeff Fresh. Oh, interesting. Okay. According to Big Jeff Fresh, Now I've made the screen too small to actually read. This is not useful. Here we go. City of Brampton have started rentable e-scooters. The new e-scooters are only allowed on roads 50 kilometers with a 50-kilometer limit and banned from sidewalks and are limited to a maximum speed of 20 kilometers an hour. That's very cool. It's very cool. So basically, for anyone who's watching and who knows my content, I talk about the fact that Toronto has banned. There is no one who is legally permitted to use an e-kick scooter. I think you're talking about e-kick scooter as opposed to e-scooter/bicycle. So e-kick scooter is the stand-up with a skateboard type deck with two small wheels and a handlebar with stem that allows you to stand up and ride. So those, when rentable, like the, what are they called, Leaf, or I don't know, there's a couple of different companies that are implementing those across the planet. They're legal in Ontario if the municipality allows them. Toronto is the municipality that said no, because the way that the pilot was structured is each municipality has to opt in. In any case, if it goes more than 24 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, it is a motor vehicle, a motorcycle. If you add a seat to it, it's a motorcycle. So I think they're great if they conform to the law. Yesterday, when driving home, and I have some dash cam footage of it from my dash cam, I had a guy pass me at 60 kilometers an hour on one of these stand-up scooters. If I was in a police vehicle, I would have pulled him over and charged him for everything under the sun. Drive no insurance, drive no license, drive no registration, unsafe vehicle. That's totally uncool and illegal. Uncool and illegal. Yeah. So very interesting. And following that, I like the fact that they're not allowed on sidewalks anyway, but in Toronto, NISH 9-0. The follow-up to this is the scooters have also been geofenced to reduce speeds to 15 kilometers an hour when operating in parks, high pedestrian areas, and paths. Well, wow, that's actually really cool. And it's funny because Martin, who I interact with on Twitter on a regular basis, was talking about geofenced e-kick scooters and rental bikes in Vancouver, I believe. So that's interesting because I've never heard of geofenced in operation in the GTA. So very cool that technology is here. And the discussion, which oddly enough perfectly segues, is Martin Schnoll. Am I saying his name right? We'll say Martin. He talks about the fact that he'd like to see, and I totally support this, geofenced speedometer maximums on motor vehicles. Why does a car have to be able to do 200 kilometers an hour if it's capable of doing it? Why should it be allowed to do it on the Gardner Expressway, which has a 90 kilometer an hour speed limit, or on the DVP, 90 kilometers, or on the 401? Why should you be able to go faster than you're legally permitted to go? You shouldn't. It should be totally not an option. So that technology for controlling the speed limits, geofenced based on your location, would allow you to go faster on a speed limit on a highway that has a 110 kilometer an hour speed limit and actually prevent you from going faster. I think that's awesome. Knowing that speed kills, knowing that what can happen because of excessive speed, I think that limiting it and taking the option away from someone who wants to speed is great. And you know what? You can geofence unlock when you're on a racetrack and you can go faster on a racetrack. I think that's cool. What do you think? I'd love to discuss this further. So let's talk about it. If you've got comments, questions specific to geofencing, or just want to share your opinions, please let me know. I would love to hear about it. Let me go back here and see what's happening in TikTok land. Is your temporary license still valid if I forgot my license at home? So this is a question from Calvin Wang on TikTok. If you have a temporary license, or any license, temporary just means you have a license and it's the paper copy versus the plastic card that you're waiting for the actual card to be sent. So regardless of whether you have the card, you're licensed if you're licensed. But if you get pulled over, your license is valid, but you failed to surrender your license on demand, and you could be ticketed $110 by a police officer because you failed to surrender your license as required by law. Period. The username is literally period. It is a period. It's a dot. Are wearing AirPods while driving permissible? So in Ontario, covering both ears with pods or headphones is not illegal. Some jurisdictions it is. So depending on where you are, and I got to have Logan in this week on the show. I meant to reach out to him this morning, didn't work out. Logan. I'm just writing down Logan to remember his name. But I want to invite him to be on the show because I'd love to know. He's a community constables, basically the equivalent of special constable here, but they do traffic enforcement in Brooks, Alberta. He works for the city of Brooks. He has a cowboy hat, and that's really cool. He also has a magnificent beard, just got to say. So I'm very curious there if you can cover both ears, because again, some jurisdictions yes, some jurisdictions no. And we can, so in Ontario, you're good to go. Not now, is it a good idea is different than is it legal, I gotta say. Let me switch over here to Instagram. If I'm out with the family and I see a suspected DWI, drive while it's DUI, drive under the influence, do you call it in or make a traffic stop? Me personally, as I'm assuming you're asking me what I do when I'm out with the family. If I'm out with the family, I'm not putting them at risk. I'll call police. I'll give great information. I'll record the data on my dash cam so I can submit it for evidence. But I don't make a traffic stop. I'm not armed. I'm not in uniform. I'm not in a police car. There's all sorts of wrong that can happen. But I'm going to be the best witness I can do, and I'm going to fulfill my obligations as a police officer that way. But I'm not going to put my life, my family at risk. I don't even have lights in my car. I wanted to say pull over I think impaired drivers don't always pull over for police in police cars. Why would they pull over in this situation? But off duty and alone, I've gone to crash scenes where people have been impaired and updated radio and either made the arrest myself or hung out with the person who was about to get arrested while accumulating all sorts of wonderful evidence. What is this? How hard are the training programs for policing? I can't talk to you about private ones, like going to college for it, but the OPC isn't easy, but it's challenging and fun, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. How hard is it? You got to work. If you don't work, people do fail. Okay, let me go back onto the tube of you and all the other platforms and see what's going on. So just to give everyone an update, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. And today I don't have a producer in studio, so I am trying to manage all of the inbound questions from all of our platforms alone. So it's going to be a slower paced, lots of lower paced. It's sort of like what we used to do before I had help and when I was just on TikTok, before going on to all the different platforms. So hang out with me. If you don't already follow me, please do. We go live Monday to Friday from 10 to 11, usually. When we're joining Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010 on his show, we do that every other week on Wednesdays, and we start a little early so we don't take away from time from you, because we want to make sure that we're here for you, our loyal audience, giving you access to a traffic cop for an hour, and in that case, an hour and a half, because we go from 9:30 to 11 o'clock. Okay. Question from Gene. And thank you for waiting patiently if you're still there. By the way, if you throw a question up and we don't have time to, or if you don't have time to wait for the answer, feel free to watch the replay of this live event. It'll be available on our YouTube channel or even Twitch. Like you can replay these anytime you want. We never delete them. But if you have, I saw somebody there. If you have time to wait, hang out. And if we don't get to you, then come on back another time. So the question was, just wondering if my 7-year-old kid be my passenger on my motorcycle. So in Ontario, rules say that your passengers must be able to put their feet on the passenger pegs or floorboards and be capable of holding on. I personally add another level to say that they have to be capable of being safe on the motorcycle. If they're not, I don't want them as a passenger. I don't want to put their life at risk, because if they're going to wave their hands in the air and freak out or lean the wrong way, we're looking for a recipe for disaster. So legally, there's no age restriction, just that their feet have to be on the floorboards. They have to be capable of holding on their own, like being there, capable of not falling off, and wearing, of course, a proper legal helmet. May be different in different jurisdictions, but that is the deal. And you know what? We've talked a lot about motorcycles because it's motorcycle season. Bikes are back on the road. A couple of things. Drivers, please pay attention to those vehicles you haven't seen in a while. Some of them are acting like idiots, and some of them are doing the right thing. I'm a motorcycle rider. I have been since I was 16. I love it. It's the most magical way to transport yourself around a city or a country. I used to do cross-country North America-wide tours. I've ridden in Australia. I've gone over the world and rented motorcycles. I love it. I love it a lot. I was also involved in a motorcycle collision where someone hit me, and it changed my life, and it's not a happy thing. So please be careful yourself as a rider. Please be careful if you're a driver, because expect to see more motorcycles, but expect to see more cyclists and pedestrians and everybody enjoying the wonderful weather. It's like 25 or 28 degrees today. Wild and crazy. Yeah. Also, if you're getting back onto the road for the first time on your motorcycle, two things: motorcycle skills do not just remain perfect. You have to work at them. As a former motor squad officer, every year we'd requalify and demonstrate that we could still do what we did last year. We got some time to practice, but we had to maintain our skills, training all the time. You know what the best thing to do is make sure that the area that you're in to practice, and I think that parking lots are a great place to do this when they're secluded and not dealing with traffic. 4 parking spots and do figure eights and work on your skills. Slow speed skills are the ones you got to work at. High speed, really, or higher speed, isn't really something that is difficult. It's pretty easy to go fast. It's not easy to go slow. So work on your slow speed, maneuverability. Make sure it's a clean parking lot. Salt and debris and sand on the road really is not safe for motorcyclists. So be wary of that. Maybe it's not a good idea to be the first people back on the road. You get grime and crud on your bike, and I mean, if you like polishing your chrome, or if you even like chrome, but that's another thing. We talked about that. We've done a question period. We've talked about tinted windows. Look at that. Okay. What is this? If I drive drunk, would I get in trouble if I offer the officer a beer? Probably not a good idea. Don't drive drunk. Definitely don't offer the officer a beer. Just a bad idea. Okay. Bra wants to know if you can become a cop without a degree. You can, in fact, become a police officer without a degree. Grade 12 is the minimum requirement for education, or OSSD, Ontario Secondary School Diploma, or equivalent, is the minimum for becoming a member of the Toronto Police. At one point, they were looking for university, but you don't have to have it. It's just a bonus if you have it. And it is a good thing to have. The more education, the better of it's a competitive process. So the better an applicant, the better of I was going to say contestant. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember the word. I had a word. I used it before. It's since been used. Do you need an OACP certificate prior to applying? Tell you what, I'm going to open up this magical piece of thing. It's a piece of thing. Yeah. Here we go. Let me open up the piece of thing. Having a good day. All right, let me take that down. Let me get rid of this. And here's what hey, that's Aaron on the screen. So if you want to become a member of the Toronto Police Service, this is the page you want to go to. It is tps.ca/careers. That's where I is. And you can go there and get all this fantastic information yourself. So minimum requirements being a Canadian. So let me get some water and start this off, because apparently I'm going to need it. Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada, 18 years or older, physically and mentally, ability to perform the duties of the position, having regard to your own safety and the safety of members of the public, successfully completed at least 4 years of secondary school education or its equivalent, good moral character and habits, meaning you are an individual that other people view as being trustworthy and having integrity. Now, it goes on to say, have no criminal convictions for which a pardon is not being granted. That's an interesting one. Basically, if you had a young, events in your life that you have since corrected, whether you had a pardon or, it's something dated, it was, young offender or something, you can still become a police officer. You've changed your ways. Possess a valid driver's license with no more than 6 accumulated demerit points, permitting you to drive an automobile in Ontario with full driving privileges. A G-class license. Oh, actually, it doesn't say G-class license anymore. It used to say G-class license. I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if you can now get hired with a G2. That's new. I've never noticed that. It used to say a full G. Now, driving record matters. How on earth would we employ someone to enforce the laws of Ontario, especially the driving laws? Huge. If you don't respect them yourself. So having a good driving record is huge. Valid CPR and first aid when the offer of employment is given. So I think mine expired and I had to get mine redone just before I could accept the offer. Possess a valid OACP. So yes, the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police certificate is something you must have before you can apply. Hearing standards, vision standards, security clearance and background investigation, credit and reference checks. Credit check. Yeah, many people don't realize that you have to have good credit to be a cop. You basically can't be someone with major debt and issues, because maybe, and it makes sense, maybe you'd be someone that could be gotten to. If you have money problems, maybe someone could get you to do the wrong thing for cash. I think that's the idea behind it. Physically ready and able to achieve stage 7 of the shuttle run and pass the prep test. That used to be part of the OACP. Maybe they've separated it now. That was the biggest hurdle for me. I hate the shuttle run. I am not afraid to say that shuttle run did not make me happy. Does not make me happy. Thoughts of it it still haunts my nights. Absolutely yuck, terrible. I really don't. But the prep test I found very, very easy, and for many people that's very difficult. But it all depends. And the recruiters, and you can get to a recruiter by going to the website or calling in. You can get someone who can really help you out. And for women, there are special prep test. At least they used to have special prep test sessions to help because it's technique. That prep test is technique. All right. We go over onto the TikTok and see what's cooking there. Becoming an officer, do we need to know charter rights? Charter rights are good. You're going to get an education. Once you're hired, you're going to police college, and you're not expected to know everything about the charter and everything, but you are trained in it, and you will have to know these things before you can graduate. Siman says, police is allowed TikTok now. Yes, we've been here for a long time. We're not going anywhere. Lil Introvert says, how are you back on TikTok? I thought TikTok was banned for you. Short story is that TikTok for the federal government was actually banned the app. It's the app that was the issue. There were suggestions that there was problems. So they got rid of the app, and the federal government, the provincial government made the same decision. Municipal governments made their own decisions. Our service acknowledged and covered the issue by way of banning the app because there was concerns. Whether their allegations are real is not my department, but the concerns were met by the fact that we are not broadcasting using the TikTok app. We are broadcasting using Restream, which is the third-party platform that takes our signal and sends it to all of the platforms simultaneously. So we're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, all that jazz, all from the same feed, one camera. The only second camera I have is Instagram on their app, and that's a whole different story. Let me put that screen back up. But these are great questions. And I appreciate you. If you're on TikTok, please put a Q. I should have asked this earlier. Please put a Q to make it easy for me to identify your question as opposed to chatting, because very often, and Clayton just did this. Okay. Most people have conversations amongst themselves, and we have some great people like Emma and amongst many who are here helping us out on a regular basis, who answer questions because they know this stuff because they're here every day. So if someone comes up with an answer, they might actually know that answer because they're regulars. Clayton Soper asks, what dash cam did you get recently? So many to choose from and big gap in prices. It is a big gap. There are a lot of choices. I found a great Canadian, who is it? Linus Tech Tips. Great content. And he did a review, and based on his review and a bunch of other things, I chose to go with a U1000, I think U1000 with two cameras, and it was like I got it on a sale for like $500, so it was expensive. You could get away with having something that's $50 or $100. I wanted a 4K camera. I wanted to have dual camera. I wanted to have Wi-Fi so I don't have to take the memory card out. So it was more money, but it had all the features I wanted. And I had previously had a black view, which was great until it failed. So I made my own decision. I reviewed everything based on reviews of other people and my own research. I thought it was the right move for me. And if they make a better one day, I'll probably upgrade because I'm a tech geek and I like that kind of stuff. Okay. Back to YouTube for a second, or the everybody but not TikTok for a second. What is this? If you weren't convicted of a stunt charge in court, does the record of the 30-day suspension go off your record? No. So, great question, Chase. As per usual, Chase is a regular who comes up and challenges us with fantastic questions, and this is no different. So, stunt driving charges, when the officer lays the charge, you get an administrative suspension immediately roadside for 30 days, and you get a 14-day impound of your vehicle. If you are found not guilty, which is really different than being, having your charges dismissed based on a technicality. It's not a matter of guilt or not guilt. It's a technicality. The charges are being withdrawn. That does not mean you're innocent. It means they didn't convict you. So the reason that they front loaded all of the the administrative consequences is because people play games in court. Court doesn't always do things the way they're supposed to. Maybe they plead things down, and they don't want the drivers who are doing these things to get away with it. So the provincial government made these administrative suspensions immediate. If you're convicted for stunt driving, you get an additional 1 to 3 years suspension. You get a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, and you are eligible to spend up to 6 months in jail. So there's a whole lot waiting for you on conviction, but they don't undo the original stuff. If you are getting a subsequent stunt driving charge, it's your second conviction. Instead of a 1 to 3 year suspension, you're looking at a 3 to 10 year suspension. If you get a third conviction, you're looking at a lifetime ban. So you don't get rid of your original suspension. You're still responsible for all financial issues or impacts from your towing and storage of your vehicle. But it's a great question. I like it. I like it a lot. What is this? Okay, we talked about that. And that was Clayton. Actually, thank you for bringing it over. What is this? What is the fine for a G1 driving with 2 kids and no supervision? That's Leo wife, my wife, who's asking. Hi, honey. The deal is that G1 unaccompanied, regardless of the number of children in there, is an unlicensed driver for the purposes of driving because there's no supervisor. So you get a charge of drive unaccompanied, G1 drive unaccompanied. And it's a $110 fine, which seems minimal, but you're going to get a 30-day suspension on conviction for your first conviction. Your second conviction is a novice driver violation. You're going to get a 90-day suspension. And on your third conviction, you're going to get kicked out of the licensing program and start over again, losing all time and money. The other thing is that you are looking at a potential collision, because collisions do happen. You're not covered under insurance. Your liability may be covered, but you if it's your fault, and it would likely be, you're not covered. They could deny your claim. Interesting. What are my another Leo wife? I assume that that my wife is taking questions out of TikTok and putting it in here because generally you don't ask me questions like this when I'm not at home. But so live FaceTime for 911 for reporting crimes as it happens. I think that's very interesting. I don't know anything about it. I've heard many people who just go live instead of calling 911. But if there's technology to allow 911 to interact, that's cool. It does create evidence, but I don't know if it's getting the right faces, notified. Certainly interesting. If there was an actual way for 911 to be notified through live, that's pretty cool. Okay. Chase has a follow-up. Let's come from a new angle. AirPods are definitely handheld communication devices that transmit waves. Any possibility that using them could be interpreted as use while driving. They're not, they don't mean, yes, they send and receive information. No, they don't. Do they send? Technically, I guess when you press a button, you're sending information, but they're not. It's not sufficient for the description or definition of handheld communication device under the HTA, in my opinion. So, no. Wireless, Bluetooth, no. In fact, I believe there's exceptions specifically listed for headphones with and the ability to press once to activate or deactivate. I vaguely remember this. What are the fines without driver's license? So driving without a driver's license at all, or driving without your driver's. Oh, thank you very much. By the way, my wife is taking up JD's responsibilities, it appears, as the producer. Thank you. So the deal is that you, it's a $110 fine for driving without your driver's license on you. Driving without a driver's license at all is more, but how much more is it? It's at $300 and something. Stand by, for I shall tell you. Drive, no license. Come on. No license. I can't spell it. License. Drive no license. That's not it. Drive motor vehicle, no license. That is $325. No person shall drive a motor vehicle on a highway unless the motor vehicle is within a class of motor vehicles in respect of which the person holds a driver's license issued to him or her under the act. Okay. Jess. Is it Jess? From one of your TPS dispatchers, we appreciate all of you out there keeping the roads a bit safer. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you, and I appreciate the appreciation. And our dispatchers are awesome. They really are. They do. without them, there is no us, because they make it happen. Really, they connect you, the people calling for help. They are the first line, and they truly, I don't think, get enough appreciation. So thank you, and thank you. And I miss driving everybody crazy, because I used to be very vocal on the radio, and everyone knew when I was when I was working, because I was talking to you a lot. Okay, what is this? Are you allowed to operate commercial vehicle while renewing an expired? I don't know. I don't know what that one is. I don't know what the answer is. Commercial vehicle. I think that if you're invalid, you're invalid, which would be no. I'm going to make an assumption here. I don't know the answer to this, because I'm not a CVOR guy. The question being, if you're renewing your commercial vehicle stuff, but it's currently invalid, until it's renewed, it's invalid. So I don't think you can operate it. I'd love to get one of our truck guys, but they're camera shy, to answer that question. All right, scrolling. Let's see here. What are the rules for no doors on a Jeep? That's a great question. Also, thank you again. I don't know if I can acknowledge you every single time, honey, because my wife is the one who's posting these. The wife, my wife. The deal is that you can have your doors removed on a Jeep. There's no rules around it, except if you don't have mirrors on the doors, you must have a mirror with a clear view to the rear on the window. Is it better to have mirrors? I think so. If you look at the design of the new Bronco, it has mirrors on the body, not the car doors, or Jeep doors. I should very specifically call it a Jeep. If you are like me, mirrors being good, I relocated my mirrors on my Jeep years ago and put it on the body. There's a simple kit that do it, puts it on the hinges of the windshield, and that resolved the issue. I got an Aaron question. Listening. When can we park the car on the street? Is it on the night of the 14th or the night of the 15th? I don't know what we're talking about. Changeover street. Okay, so okay, so there's generally a 24-hour grace, but you need to look at the street sign for direction. She believes it's the 15th. You know what? That is a very good question, because I don't even know what we're talking about, but apparently it's a changeover street. So is that for snow removal left and right side, or is it changeover? You should join us. We got like 15 minutes left. You should jump on the show. That's called pressure. I'm peer pressuring on live. I'm suggesting that. Yeah. Jumping on. See, that way you can make these claims instead of me. Okay, so here, I'll put this back on the screen. I'll give you some mic, and there you go. For the folks who don't know who you are, Aaron Urquhart, TPS _bikehart, parking enforcement officer, parking guru.
Yes. So yeah, in terms of changeover streets, I don't even know this is a question I've gotten over the years, and I'm still not completely sure, because I don't generally work in those areas that have changeover streets. So it's certain times of the year and certain months you're parked on one side of the street, and then the changeover bylaw goes into effect, and then all the cars have to be parked on the other side of the street. The reason, I'm going to be honest, I don't know. But I'm gonna find out. It's my mission. But
and then you can post a video. It'll be
that will be an interesting educational video. So thank you for the idea.
Already follow Aaron. I think I have a button here with your socials on it, so I can put it on screen for spelling purposes. Here we go. There you go, on screen. If you'd like to follow Aaron on all the platforms, you totally should, because you post cool stuff and stuff I don't know about. So I learned from your videos too. Ryan Pinn says that the Canadian Armed Forces got rid of the shuttle run because the Canadian Armed Forces are magical, and we still do the shuttle run. I hate the shuttle run.
Me too. I don't do it for my fit pin because my knees.
Well, you know what? And you have the option of doing bicycle stuff, but I don't know if that's an option when you're joining the police. I think you have to have.
No. If I wanted to go PC, I would have to go through lots of physical therapy and stuff to strengthen my knees to do it.
Here is a fantastic question. Is it better to go through driving school or learn with family teaching you to drive? I can tell you without question, having been the family teaching someone to drive, that it's better to go through a driving school. Driving instructors know how to teach driving. People who drive know how to drive, and they have all sorts of bad habits that they will teach you. So getting professional instruction is really important. Also, especially if you are the TikTok traffic cop, teaching somebody comes with a lot of stress for that person because, it's me teaching. And I know this because my wife told me that I created a lot of stress. Okay. Someone wants to know if qualified immunity is a thing here. Qualified immunity is a term from the States. It's not something that's here. Let's see here. What is this? Do other provinces use local phone communication networks to cut off network access produce?
What?
I don't know what that question means. Okay. Can you, here, this one I know the answer to. Can you turn left on a red onto a one-way? Aaron, do you remember this one?
Can you turn left onto a red?
On a red. So it's a red light.
On a red.
Can you make a left on a red light if you're turning onto a one-way?
If it's a one-way, I believe yes.
If you're on a one-way.
If it's a one-way onto another one-way?
Yes. If both streets are one-way streets, then yes, you can make a left turn on a red. That's the only time under the in Ontario that you can make a left turn on a red. So there you go. Question. Oh, okay. This is a follow-up question about installing my dash cam recently. So I bought a dash cam like on Boxing Day, and because my black, what was it called? The Blackview. It failed, and I got tired of it reformatting every 10 minutes, and it was talking to me far too much. So I disabled it and drove without a dash cam, which was scary because I was actually rear-ended while I had my dash cam not working. But I finally installed it. And how did I wire the thing? So my camera came with two options: a cigarette lighter adapter and a hardwire install. I chose to run the cigarette lighter adapter because I have a spare one. I don't smoke. It's sitting there. I used the cigarette lighter adapter, but I hid the cable, and all it does is poke out enough to get into the into the cigarette lighter port. There was a wire for hardwiring, but I thought that was far more work than was necessary. With my previous unit, I bought but never installed something called a magic adapter or something that monitored voltage, which would have really been good because I did kill my battery a few times having not used it. So they do drain power all the time. This particular model is said to have a management system to protect the battery. Hopefully that's true because it's bad to have your car battery die.
Yes.
When you're coming back from a trip and you get off the airplane and you go to your car and it doesn't start. You have to call CAA.
Not fun.
And wait. Really, really, when you're tired, travel stinks when car battery died. Okay, moving on. I was scarred from that experience. Is it legal to have a GoPro on your helmet, on your motorcycle helmet? It is not legal to have a GoPro installed on your motorcycle helmet, despite the fact that many people get angry about this. Anything attached to your helmet, even technically painting your helmet, is illegal. You can't paint it. You can't put stickers. Technically, is anyone going to give you a hard time from the police about a sticker or a paint job? No, I don't think that's going to happen. But I know people who were trying to get into the manufacturing of not manufacturing of helmets. They wanted to be in the customized helmet business, and their helmets were no longer approved once they painted them.
I realize I'm not on the Instagram.
Instagram, yes,
it's fine. There's not many people who watch there anyway.
No, I don't even understand why Instagram exists, honestly. Although we are getting more followers on Instagram. We're approaching 7,000, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're growing. It was a long time. For years, we were 4,500, 3,500, 4,500.
That's where I'm at. I think I'm at like 4. Do I have 5,000? I don't know. But I don't pay attention to Instagram.
Well, no, it's not that you don't matter. But
the audience is just so different compared to other platforms.
It's the whole algorithm, the whole way that it works, the way that you find new people. Like my kids and I watch Instagram every night, and oddly enough, we see the same reels from different people who all steal the same content and repost it. It's really, but it is fun. There's a lot of funny content.
Yeah,
so I find we call. I hate to admit that we call it watching stupid people. We actually see people doing bloopers and falling down and gags. I don't see any of that on my TikTok feed. I see all like really useful, inspiring content. I don't see any of that on Instagram. So maybe my For You page is different. Okay. Carolina asks, follow-up B3, will a court believe the officer over me if there's just no evidence of speeding? So this is a question as to how testimony works. You should use the Q&A function, by the way. But so we are giving evidence. So there is evidence of what you did. So our observations, our testimony is evidence. You can give evidence in your testimony to the contrary, and then it's the justice of the peace who will then make a determination. So if we have all sorts of great facts and data and notes and video and all of the things, why would we make up speeding? We don't get commission. We don't get a free toaster for writing a number of tickets. So yeah, very often our evidence is going to be accepted because we're providing useful and concise information. If we just said, yeah, I think she was speeding, maybe, and you weren't a qualified operator and totally different. But yeah, generally speaking, we're going to be seen as credible, and you'll have to bring some level of credibility too. Question from Jake here. Homeowners who put no parking signs on curb in front of house, what fines would they get? The homeowner or the person parking in front of their no parking sign? Those, I'll let you take that one.
I'm not sure what would happen to the homeowner other than maybe city bylaw coming around and saying, hey, you can't do that. And those are not legitimate and they're not going to be enforced. And exactly that. They will not be enforced if they're not official city posted signage. Now, if it's private property, you can go about getting private property signage that is, legitimate and enforceable, but you have to do that through us, through our contract services.
Yeah. On private property, you have the ability of erecting signs
Yes.
that are enforceable, and you can call parking enforcement who can then do something because he can act on a bylaw on private property. Putting up a sign saying, please don't park in front of my house is not enforceable, but it's not illegal. Like, you're not putting up a sign, I'm assuming, that looks like a legitimate sign that
yes.
If you're putting up fake signs, that's different. If you're putting up a sign on your driveway saying, don't park in front of my driveway because I actually have to go to work, it's kind of reasonable, and it's requesting. And I see people in school areas near schools where they put up little foldy signs, sandwich board signs that say, please don't park here.
Yes, but I will add to that, if you are parking in front of somebody's driveway, that is enforceable because that is a bylaw that we enforce, is driveway obstruct. So we would come, and that's a priority offense. We would come, tow it, do whatever you would want us to do with the car, which is tag or tow it. Usually it's both because you want the car out of the way so you can get out of your driveway.
Is good. What do the no parking signs look like from the city? Generally, no parking signs have a P with a circle around them and a crossbar, like a no smoking sign, but with a P on it.
Yes.
Generally. It's pretty much an internationally accepted don't pee here.
Yes, and you can usually tell which ones are official just by how they are, constructed, posted. They're usually bolted into the actual cement on the sidewalk. And official ones could be like in unofficial ones could be in like the cement stanchions, the ones that you see usually in plazas and whatnot. Those are actually not official. Fun fact. Waddell Engineering has 22,000 followers on Instagram.
What is your magic? Actually, you make cool stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not even trying to crack the code on Instagram, but we're here. We're here for those that are here. We care about the people who care about us, but we're not growing there, not tremendously. So if you've got some tips, I'd love to hear them. Let's see here. Oh. Okay, let me see here. License plate. Is license plate bordered /cover legal, even if the cover is clear? No, nothing on the license plate is legal, whether it's a border, whether it's clear, whether it's purple, whether it sparkles. I saw some interesting rhinestone ones on my drive home yesterday. Not legal. You cannot cover any portion of your license plate at all. I know people are disappointed. They wanted the rhinestones, a little bit of bling for the license plate. And I must admit, this is not something that we focus our day on. We're not doing a blitz of license plates. We should be, because there's so many that we cannot see and cannot read and are bordered or covered. It's something that I would actively pursue when on the road, but we are focused on the big four, stuff that leads to serious injury and death on our roads. Simple as that. But should we do more of it? I absolutely think we should be enforcing more of it. Is tinted headlight legal in Ontario? You cannot tint your headlights at all whatsoever in Ontario. No covers, no shields, no films. You can only project light in yellow or white. That's it. Not legal. Improper headlights, $110. Can an international driver drive a friend's car? if they have a license from a foreign license that's accepted here, then yes, they can borrow a car and drive it. But it depends on how long they've been here, because a foreign license fails to be valid after a certain period of time without an international driving permit in addition to their foreign license. And also, if they become a resident of Ontario, they have 60 days to apply for a local license, at which point within 60 days or after 60 days, their foreign license is no longer accepted here. Question about aftermarket headlights. Can you have aftermarket headlights and taillights? It depends if they meet the requirements under the HTA. So I can't give you a blanket yes or no. Aftermarket does not mean legal. Street legal means street legal. So you have to make sure you're buying something that is legal and proper and it adheres to the Ontario regulations. You're excused.
Didn't want to yawn into the mic.
I appreciate that. Chase says, I think we can take one thing from the Autobahn, the variable speed limits on overhead signs that change depending on traffic and weather conditions. I think that's cool. I've not seen them. I know that their speed limits do range. In most populated areas, speed limits go from 80 to 130 kilometers. I didn't realize that they had signs that change them based on conditions. That's pretty cool. And yes. Mir Nagda. So very good point. Wearing earphones while driving, bad, since they would distract your hearing from other sounds like emergency vehicles. Hearing is not a requirement under the HTA. There's no hearing test. People who are deaf or hearing impaired can drive and do a great job doing it. So is it beneficial to have less if you have the option of more? No, I like having hearing. Yesterday I heard sirens of a police vehicle approaching at a distance, and because I don't listen to loud music, I actually heard them way off in the distance and pulled over while nobody else figured out what was going on. And then only when the police were right there did they actually pull over. I like being aware of my surroundings. It's safer, given the option. So I don't disagree with you, but it's not illegal. Another good question. Thank you again to Leo Wife, my wife, who's helping by bringing questions in, which is why I've sort of directly been avoiding or not hanging out in the chat, because now I know somebody's there helping me. Thank you. Please go over stunt driving. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, you are required to surrender your physical driver's license upon demand of a police officer, along with your permit for your motor vehicle and your proof of insurance. If you don't have it, even if you have a photo of it, a photo is not digital form. We don't have a digital license in Ontario, so you'd still be eligible for a ticket under the HTA, $110 for failing to surrender. Now, if you're unlicensed, we talked about that earlier, $325, that's different. This is just not surrendering your license. Here we go. If you get pulled over with no license, no insurance, and misuse of plates, what would the charges be? That's a big question. So there's a couple of different scenarios. You're saying you're not licensed, you have no license at all whatsoever, $325 for drive no license. No insurance on the vehicle. If you are the owner or person in charge of that vehicle, it's a permit thing, right? Like, so it's permitting a vehicle to be used with no insurance on the road. That's a $5,000 to $25,000 fine, comes with up to 6 months in jail. That's a serious charge. Misuse of plates. Do you mean using plates that are not assigned to the vehicle? I wonder if the wording, I've never laid that charge or a charge that says that. Let's see if it comes up with misuse. There's confused. There's used plates that are, let me see here. No, I did not want to open up that program. Boop-a-doop-a-doo, permits and plates. There's no misuse charge. There's confuse, identity, $110, and you can be arrested for it. But I don't know what you mean by misuse. So if you want to clarify, let me know. Do I need trailer insurance for your small camper or utility trailer? It depends on what you're trying to cover. Just for towing it? No. It'll be covered under the vehicle generally. If you're talking about like for theft and fire and damage or other stuff, then you could have a policy. You need to talk to your insurance company to whether or not you would put it under your house or if it's a separate utility trailer policy. I don't actually know how those policies work. But is it covered by the vehicle insurance while being towed? Yes. Are you allowed to have aftermarket parts on vehicles in Ontario? Yes, as long as those parts meet or exceed the requirements under law. Thomas came in. We already covered it, Thomas, but I see it there. What are the rules for no doors on Jeeps? They're legal, but you have to have mirrors to view. Here we go. Okay. Can the OPP plate camera also check for active insurance? So ALPR, automatic license plate readers, run checks in the systems that are new. There's no new system other than the automation of checking your license plates. And by the way, if you have questions about parking, Aaron's now here, and so feel free to ask. But the deal is, yeah, we could always check to see. I shouldn't say always. We recently we've been able to see whether or not there was an MTO return for active. Doesn't mean that it is active. It means that we would still investigate and confirm, but we'd have a hint. And yes, he missed the Jeep question. I got it. That's funny. But the deal is that you can drive without doors. I like to relocate mirrors because I don't know why they haven't done this. You'd think that they would have figured out that mirrors are good. I relocated my Jeep mirrors to my windshield hinges when I had a Jeep. I think that's the way to go and do it, but not a mandatory thing. As long as you have a mirror on the windshield that's rear view, then you're good to go. You have to have a clear view to the rear. What is the legal speed limit for an e-bike? One of my favorite questions. So for an e-bike, first of all, you have to understand that an e-bike is effectively a motorcycle. But through legislation, if you adhere to the basic rules, it's covered and considered a bicycle. But in order for the bicycle designation to be in effect, it has to be limited to 32 kilometers on a flat surface. That doesn't include downhill speeds because of gravity. It means that on a flat surface, it can be capable of not going or cannot be capable of going any faster than 32 kilometers an hour on electric power. That's it. If you can pedal faster, you deserve a medal. But because a bicycle can go faster, it's not covered under speed limits. But the device itself can be no more than 32 kilometers an hour under power, and it can have no more than a 500 watt motor. It can have be no heavier than 120 kilos unless it qualifies as a cargo e-bike. And then there's some different rules for that. If we're talking e-kick scooter, those are limited to 24 kilometers an hour. If you go faster than that, you are a motorcycle and you need license, ownership, and insurance. Same thing for the e-bike. It ceases to be an e-bike if it goes 33 kilometers an hour or more. And yet I see them and have seen them on the highway. I've seen them on roads doing 60, 70, 80 kilometers an hour. Totally illegal. License, ownership, and insurance required. That means it's a $5,000 to $25,000 fine for operating it on the road. It's just not street legal at all. What is this? Can you turn on a red and pass before the opposite side? They just turn green. Turn on a red? Do you mean turn left on a red? We just posted a video about that. If you turn left in front of oncoming traffic when it just turned green, it's stunt driving. License was suspended for 30 days. Vehicle seized for 14. $2,000 to $10,000 fine. Up to 6 months in jail. 1 to 3 year driving prohibition on conviction for the first offense. It's stunt driving. Don't do it. Is it legal to have a camera mounted on a car? As long as it's mounted and secure, because if it became dislodged, unmounted, fell off, it's an insecure device. Even if it doesn't fall off, just not being secured properly, like a suction cup, not sufficient. You'd have to have secondary means of attachment to prevent it from falling in the event that the suction cup mounts failed. Insecure load is a charge that would be laid. Okay. 11:08. My God, we've gone over time. But there's so many questions here. What is allowed speed? What is this? What is the allowed speed allowance? What is allowed speed allowance? I can't read this question. What is allowed speed allowance on top max speed limit? How much faster than the speed limit can you go? Nothing. Zero. The speed limit is a speed limit, not the minimum, not a suggestion. It is the maximum speed permitted. If you do 101 in a 100 zone, you are speeding and can be charged. Where can we make U-turns? U-turns can be made wherever it's not prohibited. U-turns can be made where it can be completed safely, as long as it's not signs prohibiting it, as long as it's not a bridge, viaduct, railway crossing, edge of road, or a curve of road, crest of grade, where there's no visibility. So there's areas where it's considered unsafe, regardless of what you think, and you could be charged.
Someone on TikTok in the chat has asked, can you turn right from the bike lane? I answered in the chat, but I'll say it here for everyone to hear. If it has the hash markings on the ground indicating that cars can merge, and usually it's painted green, indicating it's a shared space, then yes. But if it is a solid white line, then no. You are to turn from outside of the bike lane and ensure that there are no cyclists in passing before you do so. And then that same person, Cool Shrimp, asked, can you park in bike lanes? There is no signs. No, you cannot park in bike lanes. If you know it's a bike lane, is there some indication that there's a sign? Whether it's painted on the ground.
Yeah.
Generally, there's signs posted. Maybe you just don't see them, but no, it's a no, and I will come for you with $150 ticket. So don't do it.
Yes, it's very comforting. It's like it's soul food. It's can you speak about driving too slow? Unnecessary slow driving. The charge, I believe, is $110 or comes with a $110 fine. If you're driving so slow as to impact the driving of others who are legally driving, I could care less if someone's speeding and you're driving the speed limit or below the speed limit because you're entitled to. But if you're doing 20 and 100, that's obviously unsafe. But driving 90, 80, and 100 is perfectly legitimate. Don't be in the left lane. Be in the right lane. Slower moving traffic should stay to the right. Can you get pulled over for nothing? Well, it's never nothing. We're legally permitted to pull you over to check the status of your license, to check the status of your insurance, and to ensure that you are sober. Those are things that, regardless of how your driving is going, we can always pull you over for. Will we get pulled over for 20 over? You could be, and you should be. I would charge you for 20 over, no problem. You are speeding, and you're doing 20% over the limit, which to me is far into the range of reasonable. 5 kilometers and over, I wouldn't pull you over for 5 over. That could be an instability with your speedometer. Maybe it's downhill, maybe, but 20 over, you're mine. We talked about this already. Can an international friend drive my car while they visit but are staying at my address? Visiting, yes. Living here, no. So once they live here for 60 days, they need to apply for a local Ontario license. If they're living here. Visiting here, then they can. It really is a difference that changes. They have to have a license that's acceptable here. And if they're here over a certain period of time, they need to have an international driving permit along with it. Or if their license isn't in English, which would mean that, like, if it's not a Cyrillic or it's the Cyrillic alphabet, we wouldn't be able to read it. But if it has to be Germanic. Question for Aaron: did you give a PEO a ticket?
Oh, did you see this was going viral all over the long weekend? There was a parking car that was photographed.
Yes, I did see
with a parking ticket on the windshield. No, the parking car did not get a ticket. This happens all the time. This has happened to me. Some person took their own ticket and put it on one of our cars.
Got it.
And it blew my mind that went like viral and so many like blog pages picked it up. And I'm like, did anyone check the ticket to see if it was the license plate of the parking car? I doubt it.
Are you saying that news agencies aren't always responsible and just forward
or whoever sent the photo in or just saw the ticket on the windshield? It's probably like, oh my God, funny, but no.
Does the police do a background check when an international license is presented? A background check for what? Like if you're applying for a police job, we do background checks. We don't do background checks when someone gets stopped. Generally, we'll run them, but we don't like call their neighbors to find out if they were good people, because that's what a background check is. It's a lot more.
People are asking in the TikTok chat, don't forget the stunt driving question.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about we talked about stunt driving, but let's delve into, maybe we'll wrap up the show with stunt driving.
Everyone likes to talk about stunt driving.
Stunt's a big topic. It really is. So what is stunt driving? Stunt driving could be many different things, and I will go through what those are, because I've been meaning to do this anyway, and why not do it now? Stunt. Okay. And I'm actually creating some training materials around this. So what constitutes stunt? Well, first of all, the content are a 14-day vehicle impound, a 30-day administrative license suspension immediately upon being charged. It has the potential of, based on the conviction, of a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition, a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, and up to 6 months in jail. First conviction. Second conviction, you get a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, you get a 3 to 10 year driving suspension, and you are again looking at up to 6 months in jail. It doesn't have to be. It could be dollars, it could be or jail, or it could be a combination of both. On your third conviction for stunt driving, you are looking at a lifetime prohibition from driving. But what is stunt driving? And this is where people get really confused. Everyone knows about 50 over. 50 over, 50 over, that's stunt driving. Okay, yes. And for the longest time, that was the only speed-related one. But it was changed back in 2021 on September 12th. They made it that if you are driving in an area with a posted speed limit under 80 kilometers an hour, so if you're in a 60 zone and you're doing 100, that is stunt driving, 40 over. That's one. 2, if you are in a zone that has a speed limit over 80 or over, then it's 50 kilometers over. Or if you're doing 150 kilometers an hour anywhere. So let's say you're on the, the 404, which has an area which is 110 kilometers. People would believe that they could do 150 because that's only 40 over. No, 150 anywhere is stunt driving. Now, other reasons to trigger: all tires not in contact with the highway. What is that? If you're stunt driving, if you're doing a wheelie, if you're putting the vehicle on 2 wheels as opposed to all 4 being on contact with the ground, that is stunt driving. Cause tire to lose traction. Hey, if you spin your tires intentionally, that's stunt driving. So burnouts or drifting. If you are, there's more to it, but in oncoming traffic of portion of highway. So if it's a 2-lane road, one being 1 lane in each direction, and 2 cars are racing side by side, well, one person is driving in the opposite into oncoming traffic. That is stunt driving. Driving with a person in the trunk. And question whether or not that works in the cargo area of an SUV for stunt, but in a trunk of a car, a human that is alive. We're not talking about transporting your victims. We're talking about putting a person, because there's not enough seats in the car, you go in the trunk, that's stunt driving. Driver not in driver's seat. That doesn't matter if you are walking next to your car or if you slide over and go into the passenger seat to make a cool TikTok. That is stunt driving. Prevent passing. So you're creating, however you're doing it, you're preventing a driver from passing lawfully. Stop or slow to interfere with another vehicle. So if you're slowing your vehicle down just to mess with another driver, like a brake check, or it would be an example, that's stunt. Boom. Too close to vehicle, pedestrian, or object. You do a flyby where you're trying to graze somebody. That could be stunt. Turn left from red light before oncoming traffic. That is where you jackrabbit start and make a left turn. So just before it turns green, or as it turns green, or just after it turns green, you are making a left turn before oncoming traffic has an opportunity to enter the intersection, which they are lawfully entitled to do. Just posted a video up on that. That's like just under 400,000 views, I think. Anyway, that is stunt. Or is it 350,000? Anyway, it's got over 300,000 views. That is something that many people don't realize is stunt. Then we have all the speed stuff, and no person shall drive a motor vehicle on a highway in a race, contest, or bet wager while performing a stunt. In addition to that, and that covers that. So, yes. Hey, how close to a corner can you park your car? I know that. Is that 9 meters?
That's right.
You know how I know that?
Oh, yes, I do know how
I got a ticket for that. It cost me 50 bones. Yes. Our digital pink slips. I can't believe we're going into the. I have a meeting at 11:30. I can't go much longer. Are digital pink slips okay to have on you, or do you need originals? Originals are required unless you have an app from your insurance provider that specifically is for providing proof of insurance, and that app must be able to send proof to police. It can't just be that. It can't be a picture of your pink slip. That does not cover it. Is the no cyclist on sidewalk enforced in the city? It is enforced whenever it is enforced. I don't know how often, because it depends on the witnessing it, the officer involved. If I see nobody on the sidewalk and you're riding on it, do I really have a problem with it? If you are riding on the sidewalk and pedestrians can't ride on it, I have a real problem with it. If it's e-bikes, they're absolutely prohibited. I have a real problem with it. I see couriers using e-bikes on the sidewalk all the time. I want to get out of my car and yell at them. Because I'm in my personal
say something to them when I'm on my bike and I nearly hit one of them, that are in a crosswalk or on a sidewalk that are not. Yeah, it's my personal pet peeve. If there's any e-bike riders listening, be better, please.
Be better.
Please be better.
I yell out the window. Actually, I'm very
You
vocal.
can't do that.
Oh, I yell a lot of things. I'm not always friendly. Apparently there's I'm getting the international I'm getting an international sign for we should eat something. Okay. What do we have here? We got to wrap it up. But there's so many good things here. We've been going really slow, and actually we've been
20 minutes.
Even though there's no JD in the house, we've got lots of stuff. And thank you so much to my wife, who's been helping with sending the questions through from TikTok, because you've made my life easier. I was really stressing about today, and maybe we can do this again tomorrow, because I don't think JD's here tomorrow either. Okay. Is it illegal to have size tires that are oversized? What's the measure? Depends on what you mean. Do you mean diameter or width? If they're sticking out from the fender flare or body, they're illegal. They're not permitted, and you can get a ticket. But we see a lot of those on the road. Laws for transporting mattresses on the roof. They have to be secured, and that means not twine from IKEA. It has to be rated straps. Otherwise, it's an insecure load and you get a ticket. And if it actually leaves your vehicle, and that's even bigger. Can you park on bike lanes with no signs?
Oh, yeah. We covered that.
Okay. For municipalities who use photo radar, is it fine plus points or just fine? It is just a fine. The HTA was amended to include owner responsibility charges, which is what they lay. It's different than a regular red light camera ticket. Different than a regular red light ticket. So no demerit points. I'd love to see demerit points. Australia issues demerit points on their photo radar stuff. We need to have strong consequences when people are doing stuff that leads to serious injury and death on our roads. Not okay. Rules for transporting mattress on roof. We just talked about this. Fastening rated straps. They have to be straps that are rated, which means that they must have a proper rating. How else do I say this? They have to be rated for a specific weight, a strength rating. So it has to be capable of tie down of hundreds of pounds of pressure, not twine, not bungee cords, which have no rating. It has to be securely fastened. Okay. Okay. And thank you. The questions are no longer coming across from TikTok. My wife's on strike. It has to go. We've covered that. It's been fantastic. What was the one? Oh, dad jokes. Dad jokes, and we're out of here. Why did the police officer go to the baseball game? Because he heard someone was about to steal a base. That's actually pretty good. I got to say, I like that. Okay, where's my my dad joke of the day? April 12th, Wednesday. I applied to an art school with a focus in origami, but they sent me a rejection letter. I'm not sure what to make of it. I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Cute.
I'm not always impressed by the dad joke calendar, but that one was pretty good. All right. If you would like to join us again, we'll be back tomorrow from 10 to 11, because that's what we do, 10 to 11, answering your traffic and police questions. One day this week, and we only have 2 days left. I'm going to try and get Logan from Brooks, Alberta to join us. Aaron, you're welcome to join whenever you'd like. And we're doing our thing as we do every day. So go be safe, park legally, drive sober, slow down, don't use your phone. What else can I tell you? Don't wear fuzzy stuff on your helmet. If you haven't already shared this live, please do. Share our channel, our content, comment, interact. We love it, engaging. I do my best to respond to all comments. It doesn't happen. There have been thousands in the last 24 hours, and I can't keep up, but I do my best. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for the invite. Have a good day, everyone. It's beautiful outside. Enjoy it.
Go get some sun. Oh, and I totally ignored Discord, but you can join our Discord live by using that scan or going to trafficcop.ca, and that's it. That's all. We out of here.